Warmer temperatures will soon return to the Tennessee Valley, and with it comes the season many love and some love to hate, spring. If you've been outside lately, you already know pollen season is here. But have you ever wondered which trees are actually responsible for all that sneezing? We verify.
Spring is a beautiful time in Alabama, but not everyone enjoys it. If your eyes are watering and you can't stop sneezing, you're not alone. I'm sure you're familiar with that fine yellow dust coating your car. It's pollen, and it's everywhere this time of year. But which trees are the main source of pollen here in Huntsville? Let's verify. Our sources include IQAir.com and allergy research site Allermy. Here's what we found. Huntsville deals with 3 types of pollen throughout the year, from weeds, from grasses, and from trees. But come springtime, one of those produces more than the rest. Tree pollen is the dominant allergen in Huntsville this season, and a few specific trees are the biggest culprits. According to IQAir.com, oak, cedar, and pine top the list. They're extremely common in Huntsville, and they produce massive amounts of pollen every spring. But it doesn't stop there. Cedar and juniper are also known contributors to the area's pollen count. They start releasing pollen as early as late winter, before spring even arrives. But when is the peak? Tree pollen typically hits its highest levels in late spring, thanks to warmer temperatures and longer days. Huntsville's geography plays a role too. The area's heavy tree and vegetation cover create the ideal conditions for trees to thrive and produce high pollen levels. In other words, it's far from over. But if you want to reduce your exposure during peak pollen season, here are a few tips. Check your local pollen count daily and try to stay indoors when levels are high, especially in the early morning hours when pollen release peaks. Keep your windows and doors closed on high pollen days and use air conditioning to filter the air inside your home. And when you come in from outside, shower and change clothes to keep from tracking pollen through your house. So we can verify that if your allergies are acting up this spring, oak, cedar, and pine trees are likely to blame.
If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692. In Alabama, there's a law that can keep a conviction off your record, protect your right to public employment, and seal your case from public view. It's called youthful offender status, and it sounds like something only teens qualify for. But in Alabama, the rules may surprise you. Can someone over 18 still qualify? We verify.
When most people hear the words youthful offender, they picture someone who made a mistake before they were old enough to fully understand the consequences. Someone under 18 years old. The system is meant to give young people a second chance, keeping a conviction off their record and their case out of adult court. But what happens when the person standing in court is already an adult? Can someone over 18 be tried as a youthful offender in Alabama? Let's verify. Our source tonight, Alabama law. First, you have to understand what the law actually looks at. It's not about how old the person is when they walk in the courtroom. The law actually focuses on how old they were when the crime was committed, and under Alabama law, that window extends further than most people realize. The Alabama Youthful Offender Act applies to anyone who committed a crime before they turned 21, as long as the case was never resolved in juvenile court. That means a 19, 20, or even 22-year-old could potentially qualify if the crime happened before their 21st birthday. But being eligible doesn't mean it's automatic. The defendant must consent to the process, and that includes giving up their right to a jury trial. After an investigation, the judge has sole discretion to grant or deny youthful offender status. If it's granted, the case is heard by a judge alone. And if the underlying charge is a felony, the judge can put the person on probation, impose a fine, or send them to prison for up to 3 years. And that 3-year limit is what really makes this law stand out. Think about it this way. Someone charged with a crime 10 or even 20 years could face no more than 3 years if they're granted youthful offender status. That's why defendants facing serious charges often pursue this status. But there is no guarantee, even if the defendant appears to qualify on paper. For the most serious cases, like those involving murder or seriously injuring someone, the law adds extra steps. So we can verify that yes, someone over 18 can be tried as a youthful offender in Alabama, as long as the crime happened before they turned 21 and the case was never resolved in juvenile court.
A jar of Nutella was seen spinning in zero gravity during the Artemis 2 live stream just minutes before the Orion spacecraft went behind the moon. I got a lot of people asking if space food is supposed to be freeze-dried. Why is a full jar of hazelnut spread floating around up there? We verify.
It's day 7 of the Artemis II mission, a roughly 10-day lunar flyby that launched at the start of this month. The crew recently completed a historic flyby of the moon, setting a new record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from Earth. While the Artemis II crew was making history, something unusual caught viewers' eyes. A jar of Nutella floated across the frame on NASA's live stream. The clip quickly went viral, and it left plenty of people wondering if most space food is freeze-dried. Why is Nutella on board? Let's verify. Our sources are NASA and NASA Spaceflight Food Standards. Here's what we found. According to NASA, freeze-dried food is not a requirement. What NASA really looks for is food that won't spoil, won't create floating debris, and is easy to store and contain. Loose crumbs and microgravity can float into equipment or be inhaled by the crew, and that's a big concern. But luckily for the crew, Nutella spreads right past every one of those concerns. It is shelf-stable without refrigeration. It's thick and sticky, so it doesn't crumble or scatter, and it stays contained as long as the lid is secure. The crew is eating it on tortillas, which have been NASA's crumb-free bread substitute since the 1980s because regular bread sheds too many crumbs. Now, why is freeze-dried food still the standard? According to NASA, it's because freeze-dried food is lightweight and long-lasting. Removing water cuts weight, and weight is everything when it comes to launch costs. It also extends shelf life to months or even years, which is critical on longer missions. Before a shorter mission like Artemis II, astronauts have a little more flexibility on what they bring. Freeze-dried meals are still on the menu, but there's also room for extras that wouldn't make the cut on longer space trips, and that's where something like Nutella comes in. But there's more to it than just the usual benefits. Food also plays a key role in astronauts' day-to-day morale. On isolated, high-stress missions, familiar foods can make a real difference. That's why astronauts are allowed to bring comfort items, and Nutella is calorie-dense, easy to eat in small amounts, and something that feels like home. So we can verify that Nutella is allowed because the mission is short and it won't cause a mess in microgravity. And when you're more than 250,000 miles in space, sometimes you just need a little taste of Earth.
Mosquito season in North Alabama runs from March through October, but lately many of you have been noticing something. There just aren't as many mosquitoes out. So what's going on? Does the lack of rain mean we've seen a less active mosquito season? Let's verify.
A dry spring in North Alabama might feel like a break from mosquitoes, and in some ways it is. But when you look closer at what drought conditions actually do to mosquito populations, you might wonder whether that relief is real or just temporary. So, does the lack of rain we've seen mean a less active mosquito season? Let's verify. Our sources include Pete's Pest Patrol and MosquitoShield.com. Here's what we found. When rainfall drops off, something interesting happens. Puddles dry up, the ditches clear out, and the standing water mosquitoes depend on to breed disappears. So you might think mosquitoes go with it, right? But that's not the whole story. The water may be gone, but the eggs aren't. Experts say mosquito eggs can survive in dry conditions for weeks, sometimes even months. And once water returns, those dormant eggs hatch fast. MosquitoShield.com says certain species can go from egg to swarming adult in as little as 48 to 72 hours after standing water forms. And in Huntsville, the conditions for a rebound are almost always in place. The humidity here slows evaporation, meaning bird baths, clogged gutters, and low-lying spots in neighborhoods like Providence and Harvest hold water longer than you'd expect, even during a dry stretch. And when Huntsville's summer heat kicks in with temperatures regularly climbing into the high 80s and 90s, mosquito life cycles speed up dramatically. Eggs hatch faster, populations rebuild, and warm nights keep them active around the clock. In North Alabama, mosquito season runs from March all the way through October. Peak activity hits hardest from May through September, meaning we are weeks away from the worst of it. As for now, we're experiencing less rain and lower humidity than usual, which does mean less mosquito activity. So enjoy the break while it's here, but don't let the quiet fool you. Pest experts say now is actually the best time to eliminate standing water you can control. That includes things like buckets, planters, and clogged gutters before the next round of rain gives those eggs exactly what they need to hatch. So we can verify that yes, a lack of rain does reduce mosquito activity in Huntsville, but it's only temporary. The first significant rainfall could bring them back all at once.
If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True Crime Warrior Style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look, to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app, available on Android and iOS devices, streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
Lower County 911, what's the address of your emergency room? Okay, your wife is in a bar, you said she's unresponsive?
This is what he's going to tell you.
How to get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body. No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything?
We, the jury, and to find the defendant